Hello, my name is Bijan, and here we have Jacob. And today I want to ask you, Jacob, to what extent do you believe there will be job loss due to automation in our lifetime, or say by 2050?
Well, so I believe that there will be job loss initially, probably within the first couple of years of automation really taking off in terms of fully taking off, where you see factories filled with autonomous beings that do the jobs of a lot of blue collared workers and do the jobs of a lot of menial labor workers. But I believe that that will also open up new jobs for individuals. So even though, yes, those jobs are no longer available, there will be other jobs that will become available because of the increase in the issues associated with mechanical parts. So, for example, there will be a lot more field service engineers. There'll be a lot more field service techs. There'll be a lot more technicians. There'll be a lot more people surveying. There'll be a lot more probably security, um, depending on how well we develop security in the future. It's kind of up in the air with that. Um, but what I'm trying to say is that ultimately, initially, there will be probably about a 30% job in decrease, give or take, in my
Okay.
estimation. But that will probably level out within a good couple of years, as long as the industry stays strong and continues hiring. So continues hiring construction workers, continues hiring people to not only do the basic job that are required of them, but also give them the fundamentals to be able to move on to a role where they don't need to do a blue collar job, like what Amazon is trying to do and is a big proponent of, where they give their employees the ability to go back to school to learn new trades, to learn new skills that will ultimately then help the company. And a lot of companies don't see it that way. A lot of companies just see it as this is an extra expense. But you're investing in someone, you're investing in a person. And if you invest in that person, chances are that person is probably going to stay there, especially if they're treated properly. Though I've heard some horror stories about Amazon, so I'm not even going to go there. Um, that's just an example in terms of the educational aspect. But when it comes to like the workforce, I feel that we're far ways away from actually fully kind of like iRobot esque era,
Mm.
where we have full capabilities and fully autonomous beings, where they have, fully functioning brains, fully functioning electrical neurons, fully functioning exoskeletons, fully functioning, everything. So basically a faux human. I
Mm.
don't believe that that will be possible for the next probably 150 to 200, probably maybe about 100 years, give or take. I think we'll have flying cars before we have fully autonomous robots.
Mhm.
We'll have AI, and we'll have full blown AI, but we won't have robots, because the human brain is so complex that to map even an individual neural pathway would take you years upon years upon years. And the problem with that too is that our neural pathways change and adapt over time and evolve. So you would not only need some kind of substance that would act conductively like neurons, but you would also need a substance that would be able to be flexible and change over time and adapt and adjust, not just the algorithms themselves, which we could see by machine learning, where the algorithms do learn from their past experiences with AI. But part of that component would be too then the physical aspect, where we would need to find some kind of semiconductor that is rigid enough that maintains its shape when a current flows through it, but then can be redistributed wherever it's needed. So there's a really good example of this where this gentleman was in a motorcycle accident, and he lost I think it was part of his frontal lobe, and he had severe cognitive development issues because of that. And over the years, he actually was able to start to retain some of the information and some of the memories that he had previously not been able to remember, because his brain started to reroute where it was sending those memories for long-term storage.
Hmm. Okay. So, like, I
I know
want
that
to.
was kind of a tangent.
No, it was that was good. There's a couple of things that I want to hit on there. The first thing that got my attention is this concept of how the the meat substrate of human brains can, as you said, rewire themselves and repair itself, and that allows that probably plays a large role in our general intelligence and possibly in our consciousness as well. Um, the thing that's interesting to me though is when you use that term full blown AI, are you saying full blown meaning like artificial general intelligence, meaning it's human level, or artificial super intelligence, which is going to be beyond human level?
So when I mean full-blown artificial intelligence, I'm thinking, okay, this can control everything and anything in a heartbeat's notice.
Mhm.
So basically having the ability to reconcile, instead of with human, basically think of a human, but on boatloads of crack, and then think of 20 of those people.
Mhm.
And that's what I think of when I think of a full 100% AI, where it will be able to sense and predict multiple situations within a split second, which is where quantum computing would come in. Because if we can make the quantum computer small enough, then that split second ability, where you'd have 50 or 100 or 200 different algorithms that it's trying out and testing out within, half a second, then that would be possible with quantum computing, if we get to that point. And I put a big stress on if, because we've been trying for the past 20 or 30 years to get quantum computers to become more and more stable, and we've gotten nowhere. It's almost like the illusion of fusion.
Yeah, it's always 20 years in the future, right?
Not even 20. It's
Mhm.
because someone hasn't come up with a creative enough idea. Like, for example, Nikolai Tesla. He created things that no one could even have dreamt of in his time and age, as well as Marie Curie. Both of them. Both of them were astounding geniuses for their time. I mean, Tesla created a freaking death ray, where basically you could change the frequency of it, and then you can resonate at that natural frequency of any object, and that
Mhm.
would create shockwaves.
Mhm.
It's kind of similar to what the military uses with their sound
Sound cannon,
cannons,
yeah.
except a lot more customizable. He did it just because he could. But the most important aspect was that he created an electric engine that could go 80 miles per hour when gasoline engines could barely go 30. A fully electric engine.
Hmm.
Now, battery technology was not there, mind you.
Sure.
So you'd have to still have something to power it. I don't know what he would have done for battery wise, because we didn't have lithium ions. We didn't even have lead acid batteries back then.
Mhm.
But what I'm trying to say is that there's an inherent creativity and an art to science that a lot of people don't get. A lot of engineers these days are stuck in a rut. They just want to do it for the money. They're not in it for the passion. And because of that, it shows in their work. they're doing only slight alterations. Look at Samsung as an example. They change their phones every generation. They make it the screen maybe a little bit bigger, or they put a slightly newer processor with a little bit like one or two more cores, or Apple decides to put an extra camera on. I mean, all this stuff has been there for the past 15 years. They're not doing anything innovative. They're not doing anything creative. They're not trying to do anything, any kind of creative approach, which I dislike saying this because I don't like Elon Musk as a person, but his approach, the gentleman who I can't remember what his name is, he's a Russian scientist. He created a new type of battery specifically
Is this
for
recently?
Tesla,
Recently? Oh, for the new Tesla
for
battery.
the Tesla 3.
Okay.
That's why it went from getting a estimated mileage of like 110 miles to 300.
You're talking about the 2170s or the one after that?
I'm talking about the S.
The model, didn't the Model S use 18650s?
Yes, but there's a key difference. The 18650s that were used were lithium air batteries. Oh, I didn't realize you had an unlimited account.
Oh, 40-minute time limit. Okay. So
I've never gotten that message before
yeah,
because
no.
I only do one-on-one.
Yeah, this is one-on-one though.
Yeah, so it shouldn't have even.
It says it's still recording, so I think we're good though.
Yeah, we're perfectly fine.
Okay. Go on.
Basically, what it is a lithium air battery where the anode is air and the cathode is lithium. So when you put a current through the I'm trying to think which cathode is so reduction at the anode, oxidation at the cathode. So at the cathode is where you'd want to put the electrical current. So at the cathode, which is where the lithium is located, you would put the electrical current through there. It would create lithium, basically slight lithium vapor particles, which then recondense into lithium at the anode. Because as that's being created, the glass then is cooling down the lithium so it doesn't vaporize and doesn't break. Mm-hmm. And also it not only cools it down, but when you take out that electricity, you're taking out the extra electrons, so you're taking out the heat. You're taking out any form of heat and any form of excess, any kind of instability associated. And it's actually more stable than lithium ion batteries and more efficient than lithium ion batteries, as well as I think it can